This is my house. Get out! Daniel's voice cracked through the air like a snapped wire. I stood in the doorway, cake box in my hands, the smell of lemon icing mixing with salt from the ocean. My father froze beside the window, knuckles white on his cane. My mother pressed a dish towel to her chest as if it could hold her together. Daniel took a step forward, beer in hand, eyes glassy with the kind of confidence only a thief could wear. You heard me. Robert, you and Marianne can pack your things. This place isn't yours anymore. My sister, Caroline, laughed softly. He doesn't mean it that way. He just wants things organized. Organized! I repeated. My voice didn't rise. It flattened. Interesting word. Caroline glanced at me, her smirk faltering. Margot, what are you doing here? I brought a cake. I said it on the counter, careful not to look away from Daniel. For the people who were supposed to be celebrating peace. No one spoke, only the faint sound of the tide outside, steady and cruel. My mother's voice came small. He said it was temporary. I echoed again. Another interesting word. Daniel shifted, uncertain now. You're being dramatic. Not yet. Caroline's laughter faded. My father's breath came in shallow bursts. I looked at them all, the invader, the accomplice, the witnesses, and felt something in me lock into place. They thought they'd taken everything. They had no idea what I kept. 2 weeks earlier, my parents thought we were driving to dinner. My father wore his old fishing jacket. My mother brought a lemon-scented candle wrapped in tissue. Certain we were meeting friends. When we turned up the narrow road toward the bluff, she frowned. Margot, this isn't the restaurant. It's not, I said. Just a quick stop. The house waited at the top gray-blue cedar, white trim, the kind of calm I'd been chasing since childhood. I handed my father the keys. Go on. Open it. He hesitated. Whose place is this? Yours, I said. Inside. The air was clean and bright. My mother touched the counter like it might vanish. It smells like salt and lemons, she whispered. I laughed quietly. I thought you'd like that. Tears gathered in her eyes. Margot, we can't. You can. I said, it's done. Paid in full. The deed's in both your names. My father's throat worked. How years of saving, I said simply. Freelance jobs. Late nights. I wanted you to have somewhere safe. He ran a hand over the banister. Reverent. My mother kept repeating, it's too much, until I took her hands. It's home. I told her. She nodded, but her voice broke. You've always tried to fix everything. I learned from you, I said, though we both knew that wasn't the whole truth. That night, as we sat on the small porch watching the tide roll in, she leaned her head on my shoulder. My father whispered, You've given us peace. I smiled and tucked a folded note into the kitchen drawer before we left. It read, For slow mornings and laughter. No fear. Not here. 5 days later, I was in my Boston apartment finishing a client call when my phone buzzed. Caroline's name flashed across the screen, not a message. Just a notification from her social feed. I shouldn't have opened it. The photo filled the screen Caroline on the porch of the Salt Haven, her arm looped through Daniel's, both grinning like it was theirs. My parents stood behind them, smaller somehow, framed by the ocean. The caption read, Home Sweet Home. Finally ours. Comments stacked below, friends congratulating the hearts on their new coastal escape. I stared at it until my coffee went cold. Then I called my mother. She answered on the second ring, voice thin. Oh, Margot. I was going to tell you. So it's true, I said. They just wanted to stay for a week. She rushed out. Your father thought it would be nice. You know how Caroline is. Yes. I said, I do. There was a silence thick enough to drown in. She whispered, Don't be upset. They're family. I looked at the photo again. Caroline's son sat in my father's chair. Daniel's beer on the porch rail. That's one way to define family, I said. Margot, please, I'm not angry, I told her, though my voice didn't sound like mine. I just understand things better now. When the call ended, the screen stayed open on that smiling picture. Below it, my note came back to me. No fear. Not here, and I knew how fast safety could disappear. By the time I reached Rockport, the air smelled like salt and fried oil. Caroline's SUV sat half on the grass. Doors open, music spilling out. I walked up the path and stopped at the sound of laughter my sister's, bright and sharp as broken glass. Inside, toys were scattered across the floor. Daniel leaned against the counter with a beer. My mother stood near the sink, folding the same dish towel over and over. My father sat by the window, small in the chair I had bought for him. Caroline noticed me first. Margot, you didn't call. I didn't realize I needed an appointment, I said. Daniel smiled. Lazy. We're just getting settled. Hope that's fine. Settled, I repeated. You mean moved in? He lifted his beer. Same thing. My mother started. It's only for a few days. Dear Caroline cut in. Dad can't manage stairs. It makes sense for us to stay a while. We'll take care of things. Take care, I said softly. Is that what you call it now? She frowned. You always assume the worst. Not always, I said. Sometimes I'm right. Daniel's grin tightened. We're thinking of renting the place during summer. Easy income, family property and all. Family property, I echoed. My voice stayed calm, though my hands ached from holding still. My mother whispered, They just need time. Of course, I said. I looked at Caroline, then Daniel, then back to my parents. Take all the time you need. Caroline shrugged, relieved. Good. I knew you'd understand. I set the untouched cake on the counter beside her beer. I'll be back tomorrow, I said, and walked out before the silence could follow me. That night, I sat at my desk in Boston with only the lamplight and the hum of the radiator. My hands still smelled faintly of lemon icing. I opened the folder labeled The Salt Haven, Trust Documents, and laid everything out like a surgeon preparing tools. The trust deed, the attorney's letter, the HOA bylaws. Every file had its own tab, every receipt its date. I had built this safety net piece by piece, and now the people I built it for were tangled in it. My phone buzzed. A message from Caroline. You're overreacting. I typed back, we'll see in the morning, then deleted it before sending. Instead, I called the HOA. A woman named Paula answered, brisk and tired. No short-term rentals. She confirmed after I read the property number. If it happens I asked, fine per violation. Possible removal. Email that to me, I said. When the email came through, I printed it and slid it into the folder. Next call, Ethan Blake, a locksmith in Rockport. Tomorrow, 8 a.m., I said. He hesitated, replacing everything, all of it, after hanging up. I stared at Caroline's old text from months ago. You're my safety net. Margot, I whispered to the empty room. And you tried to rent it. I stayed up until dawn, highlighting clauses and signing copies. Each page steadied my breathing. Anger makes mistakes. Paper doesn't. By sunrise, I had everything I needed proof. Authorization. Control. I closed the folder and whispered, let's see how organized they feel now. The morning fog clung to the windows when I reached the Salt Haven. My folder sat on the passenger seat, edges crisp, weight deliberate. Inside, the same chaos waited, cartoons blaring, toys on the rug, Daniel barefoot with a mug of beer. He looked up, half grinning. You're early. I'm on time, I said. Caroline appeared at the top of the stairs, her voice sweet but sharp. We said we'd talk later. We'll talk now. I placed the folder on the coffee table. Everyone, sit. Daniel laughed. Sit. Are you holding court? Yes, I said. And you're already guilty? Caroline sighed, crossing her arms. You're being ridiculous. I opened the folder. Deed, I said, laying the first page down. Recorded in the Lane Family Trust. Property owned by the trust. Lifetime occupancy to Robert and Marianne Lane. Daniel frowned. Big words. Still family property? Wrong. I slid the next page forward. Trust clause trustee removes anyone who disrupts peace. That's me. My mother's breath caught. Margot. It's fine. Mom. My voice softened for her. Not them. You're safe. Next, the screenshots. Rental listing, Daniel's account, same photos, same porch, payout to your bank. My father shut his eyes. You listed it, he whispered. Daniel's jaw tightened. You're overreacting. Then the text log Caroline's message highlighted. We'll get her to cave if Mom cries. The room went silent. My mother's voice cracked. You used my tears as a weapon. Caroline's face flushed. That was a joke. I dropped the final page. Paula's email from the HOA. No short-term rentals. Violations already reported. Daniel slammed his mug down. You'll call the cops on your own family, no? I said. I'll call reality. A knock sounded. Ethan Blake stepped inside. Tool bag over his shoulder. Ms. Lane. For the locks, Caroline paled. You wouldn't dare, my mother whispered, trembling. Do what you need to do. That was permission. Ethan nodded and began drilling. Metal bit into wood, steady and final. Daniel cursed under his breath, but no one stopped him. I gathered the papers, my voice even. Pack your things. The house belongs to peace now. Ethan's drill stopped. The last click echoed through the living room like a door closing on a chapter none of us would reopen. Daniel stood, red-faced. You think this is over? You'll regret this. Margot, I already regretted letting it go on this long. Caroline shoved a blanket into a box. You're destroying this family. I watched her struggle with the flaps. Families destroy themselves when no one says stop. My mother sat at the table, hands clasped. Enough, both of you. Daniel pointed at her. You're letting her humiliate us. She met his eyes, calm for the first time. No, she's protecting what we forgot to. He swore under his breath, grabbed the last box, and stormed toward the door. Caroline followed, still muttering about lawyers and loyalty. On the porch, she turned back. You think this ends here? It ends when you stop taking what was never yours. Their car roared down the hill, tires spitting gravel. The silence they left behind felt heavier than the noise. Ethan returned from the hallway, wiping his hands. New keypads in, codes ready. I looked at my father. You pick. He hesitated, then whispered 4 numbers his wedding month and year. Ethan entered them and handed me the instruction slip. Old keys won't work anymore. Good, I said. They shouldn't. After he left, my mother whispered, I didn't want to choose sides. You didn't. I told her. You just stopped pretending there weren't any. She nodded slowly, eyes wet. My father took her hand, steady this time. For the first time that morning, no one raised their voice. The house itself seemed to breathe again. By afternoon, the house was quiet again. The air smelled faintly of salt and sugar. My mother moved slowly around the kitchen, unboxing the lemon cake I had brought days before. It survived everything, she said softly. Maybe it was waiting for peace. I answered. She sliced it carefully, as though the act itself might break the silence. My father poured tea, his hands steady for once. An email alert chimed on my phone confirmation from the HOA listing removed. Case closed. Another followed from the rental platform, all bookings refunded. I turned the screen face down. It's done. My mother passed me a plate. Sweet after bitter, she said. We ate in silence, the sound of forks against china small but certain. A message arrived from Caroline. You made Mom cry. I deleted it without opening. My father looked out the window. It's finally quiet, he said. I took a slow breath. That's how love should sound. He smiled faintly, eyes still on the sea. My mother reached across the table and squeezed my hand. For the first time since I'd given them the house, it felt like it truly belonged to them. Weeks passed before I returned to Rockport. The town felt smaller, quieter, like the air itself had decided to rest. From the road, I could see the roof of the salt haven glowing against the gray sky. Inside, my mother was watering the small rosemary plant I had left by the window. It's growing, she said. It likes this house. I told her. My father sat on the deck, reading a paper he hadn't touched in years. You came alone? He asked without looking up. Just me, I said. No emergencies today. He smiled. That's new. I joined them at the table, the ocean rolling beneath our silence. My mother poured coffee and set out 3 cups. Caroline hasn't called, she said carefully. I know, I answered. She will when she's ready. She posted something online. My father added, about betrayal. Let her. I said. The internet forgets faster than we do. He chuckled softly. You sound older. I feel lighter. I said. Later that evening, a message blinked on my phone from Caroline's daughter. Grandma looks happy there. I typed back. She is. Come visit when she says it's all right. No bookings, just pancakes. My mother laughed when I read it aloud, the sound mixing with the wind. The house seemed to exhale, wood settling into calm. For once, even the sea felt like it was listening. Evening settled soft and gold over Rockport. I stood on the bluff outside the salt haven, the sea humming below. Through the window, my parents sat together, their hands folded over a puzzle, the lamplight warm around them. My father looked up and waved. Going back tonight for a while, I said. My mother came to the doorway. You'll visit soon, always. I told her. Just not unannounced? She smiled, understanding the joke that wasn't quite a joke. I stepped onto the porch, the new keypad gleaming beside the door. My father's voice drifted from inside. You think peace will last? I pressed the door shut gently. As long as the locks do. The latch clicked clean, final and kind. The sound carried out over the water, steady as breathing, sealing the house and everything it meant to keep safe.